The Jameis Winston experience continues. So welcome back to the Empire State Sports Report, brought to you by Believe Network and FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel Sportsbook is your number one place to make all of your sports bets. Download the app today and make sure to always bet responsibly. I am your host. My name is Adriana. I'm known as New York Giants fangirl across social media because I am a diehard Giants fan who is just as miserable as every other Giants fan throughout this season. But maybe Sunday won't be awful. And I'm going to tell you why. We're going to preview the Giants versus Lions game today. And I got to tell you, after looking through some stats and some stuff like that, I do feel like this actually could be a better matchup in some instances than maybe some of us originally expected. But we'll get to that. First, I want to talk about the injury report because, contrary to popular belief, that was the case all week. Jackson Dart has not cleared concussion protocol. And basically, what happens with concussions, they are treated differently than regular injuries because the players not only have to pass the internal concussion protocol through the Giants, they actually have an external neurologist come in to check out the player and make sure that they're good to go, which is great. They should do that. Concussions are not a joke. So, basically, Jackson Dart was progressing well. He was limited in practice on Wednesday and Thursday. And then basically today they were like, he's not where he needs to be. He's not at the right, stage in the protocol in order to play. And I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I think that Jackson Dart needs reps and he needs to continue to play. I know there are a lot of Giants fans who think they've seen enough and they want to sit him, and that's fine. Ultimately, it's not our decision what they do. But I think the reality is that he's a rookie quarterback. He's got a new head coach. He's gone through a lot of adversity, and, he needs to continue to progress every week. So 2026, whoever the new coach is, can take this offense and hit the ground running. So I would like to see him play, but I am happy that he's going to be out this weekend. Number one, because I don't think we're going to win this football game, and I don't think it matters who the quarterback is. And number two is because concussions are not a joke, and Jackson Dart is not afraid to put himself in harm's way. So I don't think it's going to kill him. It might feel like it's killing him because we all know how competitive he is, but the reality is in the long term, in the grand scheme of things, it is just fine that where the Giants are at right now, he's missing one more game. So I think it's for the best. Even if Kafka said that's not why they did it, it's fine. So we're going to get the Jameis experience this weekend. Let's talk through a couple more injuries because there are some notable ones with the Giants and actually with the Lions as well. Now, the Lions have not released their final injury report, and the Giants haven't either. But when Kafka spoke to the media, he automatically ruled out some players. So let's start there. Obviously, we know Jackson Dart. He also ruled out Paulson Adebo. We're going to talk about the corners when we get to the defense because he said something interesting about that. And then he also ruled out Thomas Fidone and Kayvon. So this is going to be a big opportunity again for Abdul Carter to step up and make some plays. So I am looking forward to that. When it comes to the players that are limited, I expect only 2 or 3 of these guys to be listed as questionable. I think the rest of them are going to be good to go. So that list from Thursday is Deonte Banks, Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, Chauncey Golston, Nick Jones, Tyler Nubin, Nacho, Rico Payton, and Darius Slayton. Slayton was limited in practice on Thursday, so I think he's going to be good to go. He could be one that's listed as questionable, but Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles and Rico Payton are both dealing with an illness. So I expect them to be good to go. They were limited in practice. I don't think they're going to be listed at all as questionable. I think it's going to be Slayton. I think it could be Nacho and Chauncey Golston, who have not played the last week. Chauncey Golston has not played in a while. So I expect them to be questionable. And Nick Jones and Tyler Nubin could go either way. I think with all of those guys, it doesn't matter. I think unless there's some sort of setback, they're all going to play and be ready to go on Sunday, which is great. We're going to need all the help that we can get and reinforcements for this Lions offense. So with that being said, let's go through and talk about this game and, who is going to help us contribute and maybe win because it's going to be tough. Talking through the Giants offense. We know the Jameis Winston experience. I think we all know what happened last week, that wasn't the potential game ending throw from Jameis was not on him. It was on Jalen Hyatt, who stopped running his route. So I expect to see less Jalen Hyatt this week for a couple of reasons. Number one, it looks like Darius Slayton is going to be back. Number two, Isaiah Hodgins was the leading wide receiver last week. I expect to see him heavily involved this week. And number three, like if you're Mike Kafka, I just don't know if you really feel like you're going to rely on him in a goal line situation. So you can put Jalen Hyatt in on first and second down. I don't have a problem with that. I don't want him to be targeted a lot at this rate, but I think they're probably going to use him in the rotation. They do not have a little Jordan Humphrey anymore. We don't know if they're going to elevate Ray McLeod. And, someone like Amir Smith-Marset and Gunner, like, I just don't know how much you're going to use those guys. And Amir Smith-Marset has not been elevated at all this year, so probably not going to see him. But I really just want to see Isaiah Hodgins step up again. He was a reliable target last week for Jameis Winston. I expect that to continue this week. I also expect Darius Slayton, if he's healthy and ready to go, I want to see more of what I saw in his game against the Bears than in some of the other games that we've seen out of Slayton so far this year. Against the Bears, he was 4 for 4, made an unbelievable one-handed catch. Probably the greatest catch of his career, honestly. They didn't win the game, but an unbelievable catch either way. So I expect to see Darius Slayton. I just want to see him back. He's gotten engaged since that happens. Like, go out there and make some plays. That's all I care about at this rate. So expecting that from Slayton too. I believe we are going to see a lot of Theo Johnson and Daniel Bellinger. We saw a lot of it last week. Mike Kafka and Brian Dable both loved using two tight ends. We saw a little bit of Manhurts last week, but I expect to see Theo Johnson as the receiver, Bellinger as the blocker, and a little bit of that being rotated. I think Daniel Bellinger is a great receiver. I would love to see him involved maybe in the red zone a little bit. He's going to be a big target option like Isaiah Hodgins, like Theo Johnson, but he's mostly has better hands than Theo Johnson does. So either way, get the tight ends involved, especially because when we talk about Detroit and their injuries, I think they're going to have an opportunity here to take advantage of some of the corners. And speaking of the Giants, oh, never mind. Okay, Dan Duggan just tweeted out, and three of the players that he listed, I thought he was posting about their final injury status. He's not. They did a sweet Nacho, Bellinger, Nubin, and Tyrone Tracy hosted a USPS Operation Santa joint letter writing event. So sweet with the Giants and Tackle Kids Cancer Program. Very sweet. No update on their injuries though. So anyway. Second thing that the Giants offense is going to have to do is run the ball like they did last week. And, something that was talked about a while back, but I don't think has really been discussed much since, is back in 22 when Mike Kafka was calling the plays. You know what they did, and they did well? They ran the ball, and they ran it consistently. And I really think that's one of the reasons why they had a lot of success. Now, Daniel Jones was running the ball a lot back then, where I don't really think we're going to see Jameis doing a bunch of design runs this week. But I really want to see them take advantage of the fact that they can have a two-headed monster with Tyrone Tracy, who's looking much better after dealing with that shoulder injury. He's not been on the injury report, so I expect to see a good game out of him. And the same thing for Devin Singletary, who's coming off a 2-touchdown week, just like we all thought he would. So I really want to see them continue to run the ball. It's going to be something that obviously they're going to have to be able to do if they want to keep this game close or competitive at that rate, because we all know how good this Lions team is. So I really want to see that out of them. And I want to see Mike Kafka stick to it, right? If the run is working, continue to do it. They did it last week. They imposed their run against the Packers. And they said, we don't care that you guys are top 10 or whatever they were against the run. We don't care that you're a top 5 defense. Like, we're going to bring it and we're going to do the best that we can. And I want to see that continue this week. So with that being said, the Lions defense now is ranked number 5 overall, and the Packers are down to number 6. They are giving up an average of 292 yards per game. When we talk about the run, they are ranked number 8 overall. So they are giving up 99.7 yards on the ground per game. Now, that is more than what the Packers were doing last week. The Packers were allowing an average of 91 yards per game, and the Giants went ahead and went right over that and ran for 142. So I'd like to see the Giants offense continue to do it. Do the best that you can with running the ball as much as you can. So I'd really like to see them do that. And then against the pass, the Lions defense is again number 8 here. They are allowing 192 yards through the air and 18 touchdown passes. And for the rush attack, they have allowed same thing, eight touchdowns, excuse me, versus 18, I think is what I just said. So big difference there, right? Lions. Okay, 18 versus 8. So big difference there in the run versus the pass game. So again, when you get to the red zone, this is going to be an opportunity for you to use the big bodied receivers, Isaiah Hodgins, Daniel Bellinger, Theo Johnson. That's who I want to see the ball thrown to in the red zone. That's going to give you an opportunity to score. The fact that there is such a big difference in the yardage, number one, 100 more yards allowed through the air and touchdowns, 10 more touchdowns allowed through the air. You always have to establish the run, but you got to be successful in the pass game. And that means, if you're going to target Jalen Hyatt, you got to catch the goddamn ball and run your route, and the same thing goes with Slayton. Catch the ball and everyone else. Theo, who's had a drop problem, Daniel Bellinger, who would have had a great touchdown and ends up dropping it. Like, you got to hold on to the ball. Okay. That's what I would like to see out of this offense. And when it comes to Jameis, look, if he throws an interception, we know it's the Jameis experience. It is what it is. But I feel like he did a great job last week of stepping in on limited reps and having a brand new wide receiver to the team who's been there for 3 days. The way that they connected and they were able to make plays is so important. So I really want to see this Giants offense continue to do that under Jameis. And we also have to talk about the offensive line because we obviously all know Aiden Hutchinson and what he's capable of. Now, he's not having a 15-sack season. He's not up there with Brian Burns and Myles Garrett, but he's still getting a lot of pressure and he's a damn good edge rusher. Now, I have a lot of faith in Andrew Thomas. He's unbelievable this year. And I think that he's going to do a great job of protecting Jameis. So I want to see this offensive line continue to do their job. They have been wonderful, and it's been so nice to watch an offensive line stay put and do their job and hold their quarterback upright and give him time to make decisions. So I really want to see that continue with the offensive line. So next, let's move over to the defense on what the Giants defense needs to do. And this is going to be short because we all know what they need to do, and it's stop the run, because I don't know if you guys know this, but the Lions are ranked number 5 in total offense. They are averaging, are you guys ready for this? 367 yards per game. 367 yards per game. On top of that, they have 36 offensive touchdowns. 36. Should we talk about the run? Let's talk about the run because Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are unbelievable running backs. We are not just talking about, last week where it was just Josh Jacobs and then you allow a lot to the backup. Like, this is, you got a double-headed monster of studs here. So this is going to be concerning here. So the Lions, when it comes to the run, they are number 7 overall. They are averaging 130 yards per game on the ground with 13 touchdowns. 13 touchdowns. So the actual game 12 statuses just came out from the Giants. So they ruled out the same guys we already talked about, Dart, Adebo, Fidone, Tibbs, and then there's only 3 guys out of that whole list that are questionable, Banks, Gray, and Newman. So the run game, this is great that we have Nacho back because he is someone who is good against the run. He's going to help out Dexter Lawrence. And Dexter Lawrence seems like he's finally getting back to the player that we all know and love and expect to see every single Sunday. Those two need to have a good game this week, or this is going to get out of hand really fast. And that's mostly what I'm afraid of, because if they can't slow down the run, this is the problem with the Lions. They might be missing Sam Laporta, who got back surgery and is out for the rest of the season, but they still have Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams. And do you know that Jameson Williams is number 1 in the NFL against man coverage? Do you know what the Giants defense has been running the most under Shane Bowen? Man coverage. Yep. Do you know who one of our cornerbacks is going to be? Deontay Banks. So I don't have a lot of faith in this defense that it's gonna get out of hand fast. So in case you're wondering what their passing offense is like, number 8, they're consistent. 236 0.8, 237 yards is what they're averaging per game, and 22 passing touchdowns. So if I'm Dan Campbell and I've watched any Giants tape, I am targeting number 2 every single time I get remotely close to the red zone. So that's what I'm afraid of. And also, when Kafka spoke to the media, he said that there is going to be a rotation at CB2 because now Cordell Flott is back, thank God. I think they're engaged, fiance, partner. They had a baby. And Kafka said everyone is good, mom and baby are great, and Cordell Flott is back because he was off Wednesday, Thursday with the baby and his partner. So, anyway, he's back, thank God. So he's going to be cornerback 1, and cornerback 2 is going to be Corey Black, and a Tay Banks rotation. So, it's going to be great. I am, the one thing I want to see is more of Corey Black for a lot of reasons. The biggest one being that he actually puts effort in and tries to tackle people. So I'd really like to see Corey Black win that job at this rate. They're also going to have Rico Payton. Now, when Kafka was asked about Banks in the cornerback situation, he didn't mention Rico Payton. So there is a possibility that if Banks is that bad, that he's going to get benched and maybe we'll see more of a Black and a Payton rotation. I don't really know about that, but I do think it is noticeable and needs to be mentioned that Corey Payton is Payton is good to go and he's going to have the option to make some plays, hopefully. So we have that going for us. But I am worried. This is going to be a tough matchup for the Giants. The Lions are a good team. They are well coached. They are aggressive. They have playmakers on all sides of the ball. And when we talk about the Lions defense going against this Giants offense, we might be in a little bit of luck because Terrion Arnold is dealing with a concussion and he did not practice Wednesday and Thursday. And Brian Branch is dealing with a toe injury. Now, he did not practice Wednesday, but was limited on Thursday. So he could be listed as questionable. He could be ready to go. I think we all know what Brian Branch does for that Lions defense, and he's a beast. But not having Arnold and Kirby Joseph did not practice Wednesday and Thursday. So their secondary, if they are missing Arnold and Joseph, obviously 2 big blows to that secondary. Now, do I think that means that this Giants team is going to go out there and light it up through the air? Probably not, but I feel a little bit better knowing that they might not have 2 of their best playmakers on defense. Like that could also be a good thing for us that maybe we could take advantage of. There's only one more player who did not practice on Wednesday. That's Taylor Decker, their tackle. He was limited on Thursday, so I think he's probably going to be good to go. And then they have a bunch of other players who are listed as limited. Also, Penny Sewell, the other tackle with an ankle, did not practice on Wednesday, but again, limited on Thursday. And I think that once you get to that limited place on Thursday, as long as you're not dealing with a concussion and it's like a body part type of injury, they're typically good to go. So they're probably going to have their tackles back. Obviously, we know the Lions offensive line is good. We know Jared Goff can move the ball. He's got a lot of playmakers, and he's also got guys who are not afraid to make plays and consistently make plays. So, this is going to be a tough one for the Giants. What I want to see out of Kafka this week is him continue to be aggressive and hold players accountable. So if you don't like Kafka the way that Tay Banks is playing and you think he's not putting his energy out there, bench his ass. They did it last week. They didn't like how Drew Phillips was playing and they put in Nick Jones. I really want Kafka to continue to maintain that energy and not be afraid to do that. And I think that he will. So I want to see consistency there. I also want to see him put his players in a position to succeed. And to me, that means, again, like not relying on someone like Jalen Hyatt in the red zone and maybe not relying on someone like Darius Slayton in the red zone. And I don't want to say that because obviously Slayton is coming off a good game, but the reality is that you need to score points. And if you cannot rely on someone like Darius Slayton, then do not put him in the red zone. Maybe don't go to him on third downs. Go to Wan'Dale Robinson. Another thing, when we're going to talk about play calling, for the love of God, if it is 3rd and 7 and you are going to throw the ball to Wan'Dale, make him run 7 yards and then throw him the ball. I am so sick of watching this team with when it's 3rd and long, we're going to throw Wan'Dale a 4-yard pass and expect him to run 3 yards. I don't want to see that. Okay. Now, last week we did see a bit of Theo Johnson on third down, and he made some great conversions. So I think we can expect to see that too. And I want to see Kafka's influence on the defense too. They blitzed more last week. It was up to, I think, 43 or 45%, which is the most we've seen in a long time. But I really want to see a little more aggressiveness on defense. Look, Dan Campbell's going to go for it every time it's fourth down. So if you think that it's third and long and you can hold them to, if it's third and 10 and you get them down to fourth and 3, they're going to go for it. And, it's Dan Campbell. He's going to do it. And they're going to do trick plays and, they're going to try and throw off this defense. And we know that the defense is not creative and they're not playing well at all. That it would not surprise me if they cannot get 2 stops like that in a row. So this is not a team where they're going to punt. They're going for it. And it's one more down that we have to sit there and say, can our defense make another stop? Because they made one on third down that got them to this point, but they're not consistently stopping anything. So I don't know. My final prediction is this. I think the Lions are going to put up 40 points. I don't have confidence in this defense at all at this rate that they're going to be able to stop a Lions team that has a good offensive line that is averaging almost 370 yards of offense every game. This Lions team that is coming off a bad loss to the Eagles, like they are going to come out there and be ready to punch us in the mouth. And they're probably going to do it. So, I think the final score could end up being 41-20. Like, I think the Giants will move the ball, especially with them missing some key secondary players. But like I said, I just don't really have the faith that the defense is going to be able to stop the run and the pass. They can't even stop one of those. And last week, that game against the Packers, they should have put up 35 points. They didn't because their wide receivers dropped the ball. You know who's not going to drop the ball? Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So this week, I'm a little afraid, but for all the people who are happy about tanking and happy about sitting Jackson Dart, this is going to be a good game for you because we're probably going to lose and we're going to be one step closer to that first overall pick. So, with that being said, that wraps it up for this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you like the podcast, please rate and review it. Subscribe, share with a friend. I know the season is coming to a close soon, but we are Giants fans, which means that the offseason is going to be lit. We're searching for a head coach. We're going to have a top 5 overall pick. I'm going to the Senior Bowl. I'm going to Pittsburgh for the draft, which is going to be super fun because we're going to have some good draft picks. We might even have a new GM. So if the season is boring you, I get it, but the offseason is going to be fun. So stick around because we're going to have a lot to talk about. So enjoy your weekend. Go Giants, and I'll be back next week with a recap.